Okay, so welcome back, and this is where we stopped in the previous lecture. And we were actually defining the properties of medium, right, and the influence of medium on the propagation of waves. And as similar to analogous to the flow of current, we do have a resistance or an impedance offered to the flow of current. We do have characteristic impedance in the case of a mechanical wave like sound wave. And we also know that the expression for that is given by something like this, right? Z is equal to rho into C, where rho is the density and C is the speed of sound. And of course C, we already defined it to be K by rho, and K was actually something like bulk modulus. Right, so that's what we were knowing. And then of course this is important because this is a property of the medium, and we will see what happens when there is a medium change in the next slide. So, and this the interesting aspect. So if you go to the acoustic impedance of different human tissues or air, we can see that they do vary, but not very significantly. There is a slight variation. So the sound will see all these impedance variations as it propagates to various parts of the body. The same applicable to something like metal or something like another material, for example, and this is sort of generalizable in that perspective. So moving on, now we will actually put across how the imaging system works, okay? So, or how the sensing system or a detection system works. This is the most fundamental property, because if everything was same, the medium was same throughout, okay, there is no change in characteristic impedance, that means there is a smooth flow for the wave, nothing will come. We may get a reflection from the end, the boundary, right, that we used to see. Otherwise we used to see in the simulation, for example, there's nothing in between, right? There's no reflection or no wave coming back after any point in space. It was only at the end it is coming back. But that's not the case, fortunately. When we pump an electromagnetic wave into the body, or a sound wave into the body, or electromagnetic wave, sound wave into a space, it will be composed of different types of media, and they will have some impedance variation between them. And whenever there is an impedance variation, whenever there is an impedance change, you get a reflection back, and that is the fundamental principle behind image formation. So I will repeat it again. You pump the wave into the space. Whenever there is a change in the acoustic impedance, okay, that change, that boundary where there is a change, let's say medium 1 and medium 2, they will have two different acoustic impedance or characteristic impedance. Then what happens is, at the interface of that media there is a change in impedance that will create a reflection back. It's something like this. So this is a very simplistic 1D case too. Let's put that warning across. Okay, so what you see over here, so let me use the highlight, there's a pointer here. So this is medium 1 with characteristic impedance Z1, and this is medium 2 with characteristic impedance Z2. So let's say just to take an analogy, so let's say this is fat and this is bone, okay, just to get a feel of it. So what essentially happens is, the wave will come, it will propagate, there will be an acoustic impedance of course, so the wave will slowly propagate depending on that impedance, and then immediately it sees a change in medium, a portion of the wave will be reflected back, and the remaining portion will continue to propagate. So let's say, let's put some mathematics behind it. So let's say P is the incident energy or power, and out of that RF into P. So RF is something known as reflection factor, okay, reflection factor. So RF is basically reflection factor, and that factor, a proportion of P will get reflected back. So basically RF is nothing but the portion of P which is reflected back, and similarly the remaining portion is the transmission factor of P. So whatever is the transmission factor, that much amount is propagated further, and you may have another medium interface here and you again get a reflection back. So this keeps on going. So let's define the reflection factor. We are not going to derive them. It's actually not difficult to derive, but that's not the scope of this course, right? So let's actually put that across. So the reflection factor is given by RF is equal to Z2 minus Z1, that is the difference in the characteristic impedance divided by the sum of the characteristic impedance, Z2 minus Z1 divided by Z2 plus Z1. Similarly, the transmission factor is given by 2 times Z2 by Z2 plus Z1. Okay, so the denominator remains same in both the cases. Okay, so now as per se equation doesn't give you a lot of insights until you put some values and see. So let's do this. If Z2 is equal to Z1, Z2 exactly equal to Z1, what that means? Z2 is equal to Z1, that means there is no medium change. The same characteristic impedance. So of course characteristic impedance is a factor of what? Density and speed of sound, right? And that means it's the property, the material property remains same throughout. So if you put that into this equation, Z2 equal to Z1, this becomes 0, that means RF becomes 0 and TF becomes 1. Right, that's what you get. RF equal to 0 and TF equal to 1 if you put Z2 equal to Z1 in these two expressions. So literally that means there is no reflection, it just continuously goes through because there is no medium change. It's as simple as that. So I hope it's clear. Now let's put another interesting case. Z2 equal to 0. Okay. So basically you're saying that this Z2 is actually 0, which in technical terms, in wave physics terms, that boundary is something like open circuit or it's something like air type boundary, literally free. The resistance, because we saw the acoustic impedance of air, right? It's very, very bare minimum. So there is hardly any impedance offered by air to the flow of sound, for example. Okay, so if you put that, so Z2 equal to 0, so that means minus Z1 by Z1, so RF becomes minus 1, right? And TF becomes, so Z2 is 0, TF becomes 0. So that means literally everything will be bounced back. Oh, now that is interesting, because the intuition that we put last was like air will allow sort of less acoustic impedance, so yeah, there is a smooth flow to the wave, but that's not the case. So let's say you have the tissue and then you suddenly encounter air, what is going to happen is the entire wave will get reflected back. That's what you're seeing. Minus 1 just says that the wave get inverted. If it was positive going, basically the positive cycles of the wave will become negative and negative cycles of the wave will become positive. That's all. So the wave will get completely inverted back. That's the meaning of it. There is no transmission at all. Wow. And that is the reason, if you might have gone for ultrasound scan, doctors will ask you to drink lot of water. Let's say you are going for an abdominal scan. Doctors will ask you to drink lot of water. The reason is very simple, because our intestine generally will have a lot of air, right? You have a lot of gastric trouble most of the time, right? Our air, I mean, there's a lot of gas filling, air filling inside. So you already know from this case that you mount the probe on the body. So let me pictorially represent it so that it becomes clear to you. Okay, so you have the abdomen here, okay, and then let's say some muscle, fat, everything is here. Okay, so this is that thing, and then you have the intestine where you, let's say you have gas here. Okay, so what happens is actually let me use another color for illustration. So what exactly happens is the wave will come. So you put the probe here actually. So the probe is placed here. This distribution of sensors is placed here. It will propagate sound wave inside. So we will put gel and all here so that the coupling is done. So some gel here so that air gap again to reduce this air. Okay, so there's no air here, so completely gel. The sound will propagate. It will go, and then suddenly you see some interface like this, right? This is air, this is tissue. So you have a tissue air interface, and that is exactly going to mimic this, because acoustic impedance offered by air is hardly minimum. So Z2 is almost like 0, and then the entire wave will get reflected back. So you won't be able to see inside the abdomen. Everything is back. That is why doctors ask you to fill with water. You drink a lot of water, air bubbles are gone, and water will actually have very little attenuation or very little sort of the entire, I mean basically put it this way, when water is there, Z2 is not equal to 0. Okay, so that's the beauty about it. Okay, so this is just an analogy to help you out, and I have another example here to represent this guy. Okay, so this example. So you just concentrate on this part. Okay. So you see a heavy shadow here, that means no sound penetration here. So this is from the top. So this is actually the lungs. So this is your lung. Okay, so this is a rib, right? If you touch on your body around the lung, you will see a lot of ribs. So what is going to happen is, so basically what you will have is you have the wave propagating, and then finally you find a rib. Okay, so after that it is all air. The lung is all air, right? Healthy lung, for example, is all air. So what is going to happen is you get sort of entire wave get reflected back. Nothing will penetrate. So you will see hardly anything coming out of it. It looks like a unknown region or non-accessible region for us, and that's what exactly happens. So this is an example. Okay. So there are other implications to it, not just because the air and the thing is there, it is dark. There are other physical interpretation to it, but we are not going to talk about that. Okay, and then moving on, let's put Z2 equal to infinity. Okay, so if you put Z2 equal to infinity, that means very high value. So you are going to actually have a very high value minus a Z1 which is comparatively very small value. So very high value by very high value. So this becomes 1. So there will be reflection. Okay. But at the same time, this guy Z2 is a very high value. So his very high value plus a small value is always very high value. And that very high value and very high value will get cancelled out, and you get TF is equal to 2. And that is an interesting concept, because that means almost like a constructive interference, you will see a sudden increase in amplitude. And have an example here. So you have a region, if you see over here, this region Z1 is actually barely no resistance, no impedance. The sound or the wave will propagate through very easily through this region. Okay. On the other hand, this guy over here, okay, there is a definite impedance offered. And what you see over here, Z1 is very small, Z2 is very, very large compared to Z1. So there is a huge change. So you can literally say Z2 is very high compared to Z1. That is sort of this condition. Z2 is like very high. And then what happens is, as we discussed here, there will be reflection. That is why you see an edge here. At the same time, you will see a transmission which is double, and that's why you see sudden intensity change. This is an artifact. So if you don't know this phenomena, then you think that, oh, there is some bright spot inside the body, there is something wrong. Wow. And just to give a picture, this is something like a blood vessel or blood flow, which is hardly offer any resistance or any impedance to the sound wave. And then suddenly you have a tissue which is much, much higher than the impedance offered here. So Z2 is very high. That leads to this constructive interference, double transmission effect, and you see a bright spot here. So this is an artifact, of course. And as I said before, if you are very not interested in this field and you completely ignore this and you image it, you see that there is something wrong there, but actually it is an artifact. I hope it is very clear. Okay. So basically what is happening here is just to highlight or just to reiterate the key take points from this slide is, if there is no medium change, hardly you will get any reflection, and you will have almost like a blank spot, almost like a dark region in the image or constant region in the image, because nothing is coming back. The moment you have two media or there is a change in the media, there is an acoustic impedance or characteristic impedance change, that will give you a reflection back, and you will be able to see that border very perfectly. Right, so all these are interfaces. You may not be seeing this bond very clearly. That is due to some other reason, which we will discuss maybe later on. Yeah, I think in this case scenario itself it is there. Next few slides it is there. Why we are not seeing a crystal clear line? But you can see over here, there's a very good line here that is known as pleura, the lining of your lung. That is very clear to you, and that is because of the acoustic difference. So there is a medium here and there is a medium here. They have a huge difference because this is all air. Under this it's lung is full of air and in healthy condition. So there is a huge change difference here, and this guy air being actually sort of offering zero impedance to this, you see that you get a huge reflection back. Okay, And then the so basically simple as that. So two media, two different acoustic impedance, you get a reflection, and you use that for imaging. Use that reflection for imaging. Okay, so I hope it is clear the phenomena behind, but again this is a very simple 1D model. We just use the simple 1D model to prove this reflection factor and transmission factor effect. And of course there are, in real scenarios, a lot of things will matter, which we will discuss in the next few slides. The angle of incidence, for example, how the wave is incident on this particular interface, the size of the medium, all these matters. How much is the size of medium 1 compared to medium 2, all that things matter. So we will discuss that in the next few slides. And just before going to the next slide, I highly encourage you to actually put some numbers into this and see for yourself. So for example, in this case you have a lot of values for air, lung, fat. So you just assume it is an air lung interface or air fat interface or fat blood interface. So you get the impedance values from here. You put in this expression RF and TF and see for yourself whether the sound wave will give you significant reflection or will allow you to penetrate through and all those things. So if you put the values, you will see that when you put the value for bone and muscle, let's say you have a muscle bone interface, you will see that the reflection factor will be very high and transmission factor will be very low. So that means nothing is really going through. Okay, so with that let's go to the next slide. So now just we are moving ahead. We are going more and more 2D, okay, because we are going to work in 2D and 3D, so we should understand that. So here is something which is sort of a very illustrative example. So I have a transducer here. It will have a bunch of transducers rather inside. So basically a single, we call it as a probe. So single probe actually consists of so many transducers inside here, and then it is going to emit some wave. We call it as incident wave because it's going to get incident on a medium, on a material, right? Then what actually I'm showing over here is something which is a small disturbance and then a big disturbance, okay, in terms of size. And then let's see what is the phenomena which happens. The small disturbance, what it does is it scatters the wave. So the wave will actually get scattered in all directions. There is no particular direction it will go. It will just go to all the maybe 360 degree. So you will be thinking one thing, how the incident wave is actually going in only in this forward direction, why it is not going back. So that is all in the sensor design. As we discussed, there may be some material which will be kept at the back which will prevent it from propagating back, or there will be lens so that it propagates only forward. So many ways you can do it, and you have array of sensors which will help you to direct the waveform to only particular direction. So we will talk about all these in the next module, but let's assume that all that is done and the wave is actually propagating forward and it strikes something which is very small and it gets scattered. So that is one effect, okay. So you get a lot of scattering. And then there will be a huge reflection back. You see a huge impedance change between them. So the medium and then another medium here. So the interface will reflect something back and it comes back. And then of course there will be some absorption as well, because as we said earlier, because of the random motion of the particles or random motion of the wave particles itself, there is a lot of heat energy which is getting formed, and that is actually getting lost. And that we call it as absorption or attenuation, whatever name you want to call. So that will heavily attenuate the waveform when from going forward. And then of course the remaining is the transmission. So just to reiterate, we transmit some wave inside, and that wave will get scattered, or it get reflected, or it get absorbed, and the remaining will get transmission. So for the imaging perspective, it's very important to understand this. From the imaging perspective, it is very important that you do have scattering, you do have reflection, and you do have transmission, because the scattering and reflection is what appears as objects in your image, structures in your image. Transmission is needed because you want to image deeper, right? If you want to image deeper, you want to have a lot of transmission, otherwise you won't be able to penetrate through. You really don't want absorption, you want minimum of absorption. But unfortunately that's not in your control. So to overcome absorption, what you need to do is you increase the power of transmission, right? So this is always a loss. We can't have any control on this, but at the same time we can't avoid this. So this is an artifact which we don't want, but scattering and reflection we want, as well as the transmission, because that is what reflects in an image or helps us to form an image. Okay, now putting all the things together, I just wanted to, so you can ignore the density and speed of sound because it is captured in acoustic impedance. And then this is the guy, the absorption coefficient, which is actually coming here. Okay, so this is something which is actually dependent on the frequency, which we will ignore at this point, and it is expressed in decibel power, and it is actually per centimeter. So basically every centimeter, this is the attenuation which is going to happen, and then depending on the frequency. Why depending on the frequency is because, as I said, it is creating the particle motion, right? So frequency, the higher the frequency, the lower the wavelength, so it will be affecting smaller particles. So there will be higher attenuation, higher absorption. So with increase in frequency, there will be a reduction in wavelength. That means localized changes, localized effect, and more heat dissipation. Okay, so you can see here. So this is why I told something in the previous lecture, don't go by acoustic impedance alone. The absorption also is a very serious factor. So you can see over here, air attenuates the sound like hell. Okay, so huge attenuation you can see over here compared to, let's say, liver or fat. Bone of course will attenuate, but not as good as air. That means air is not a very good case for sound. So air is not a very good medium for imaging. Okay, so that's a very important point to note. And that's the reason again I told in one of the previous slide that doctors will ask you to drink lot of water before you go for an ultrasound scan. The primary reason is that air, even though it offers minimal acoustic impedance, it will allow sound to go through in a very easy way. There's lot of absorption. Why there is lot of absorption in air? Because air is a very loose medium. It's not a very tight medium, right? So if it's a loose medium, the particles are easy to move, easy to vibrate. So there is a lot of heat dissipation because of that. Okay, so that's the reason. So I hope you got a holistic picture of it now. So just to reiterate, when the wave is transmitted through the medium, we so far assume that everything is so good, but we studied briefly about reflection in the previous slide. But this is a generic representation. The wave will go through essentially these phenomena: reflection, scattering, absorption, and transmission. And now I hope you will understand why it is important for an imaging guy to understand all this, because based on all these phenomena is what your image will have some effect. So if there is no reflection and no scattering, your image will be blank. If there is no transmission, you won't be able to image deeper. Okay, so you need all these physics to make your imaging system work. Okay, so with that, let's go into a small deep dive into these reflection, scattering, and the absorption effects. Okay, so reflection, or more popularly known as specular reflection, and there is a concept in laser or optics which is known as refraction, which is also there in sound also. So we'll briefly touch upon what is that also. So what is this? What is this specular reflection, or what is this reflection altogether? This is the phenomena which happens when, you see very careful here, this is a phenomena which happens. This is not just restricted to sound wave or mechanical wave, this is universally applicable to any type of wave, so any type of imaging modality, that if the size of the structure is way larger than the wavelength. Now you see why you studied about wavelength. How do you control wavelength? How do you control wavelength? Only way for us to control wavelength is the time period, right? And how do you control time period? Frequency. So that is why we studied all those nonsense in the first few lectures. You see how it is related. The reflection has significance with the wavelength. So if the size of the structure that I am going to image is way larger than the wavelength, then it is going to reflect it in a specular way. And what is specular? I never defined it. So example of a specular reflector, so that you get a feel of it: hard interfaces, something like bonds or needle, for example, all these are specular reflectors. Okay, I will tell an analogy also with an example. The mirror is a very good specular reflector. So why? Because if you stand in front of a mirror, only in a particular direction you will be able to see your reflection. If you stand in a particular angle, you will not see. That doesn't mean that the light which is falling on you and on the mirror is not happening. It is actually not coming back to you. It is not coming back to your eyes. It is reflecting off in a certain direction. Okay, so it is going in a different direction. That is why it is not coming to eye, and that is why you are not seeing. So this sort of thing is known as a specular reflection. So mirror is a specular reflector. It just directs the light in a certain angle, that if it is not coming back to your eyes, you won't be seeing that. That's why if you want to see your reflection in your mirror, you need to stand it at a particular angle or particular line of sight with the mirror. So very important. So I'll have a pictorial representation of that. So this is one medium, this is another medium. Let's say the speed of sound in this medium is C1 and the speed of sound in this medium is C2, and the size of this medium is way higher than the wavelength. That's an important condition to satisfy. Then what happens is that your wave, this is the wave which is incident at a particular angle theta I. Okay, so theta I is the angle of incidence with respect to the normal. So this is angle of incidence. So the wave is actually nicely propagating and coming and striking on this interface between these two media. If it is a specular reflector, what is going to happen is it reflects back at a particular angle theta r, and if it is a specular reflector, this theta r will be equal to theta I. And this is actually defined by a very famous law in optics, and this is applicable to even sound and even electromagnetic wave, that sin theta I by C1 is equal to sin theta t by C2. C1 is the speed of sound in this medium and C2 is the speed of sound in this medium, and theta t is the transmitted angle. Okay, and theta I is equal to theta r. So basically this is the exact reason why you don't see your reflection when you stand at a particular angle against the mirror, because this guy is going somewhere else. The reflection is going somewhere else, it's not coming back to the eye. So if you want to have, you stand straight so that this particular thing moves. So what I'm saying is, so if you stand like this, then basically theta I and theta r are 0, right? Then you don't have any issue. But if you stand at a certain angle, if you stand here, the wave is going here in this direction, and this is your eyes are here, right? You have the eyes here, so it is not coming back, so you will not see your reflection. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so this is very, very important. And then this particular thing, right? So this is coming at a certain angle, and suddenly the angle got changed. This phenomena is known as refraction. So you might have observed that when you, I think many examples you might have seen in this particular case, refraction case, where you try to observe something which is inside water and you are observing it from outside. So there is an air to water interface, and that is exactly like this. And what it does is actually it refracts the line, the view. Let's say you are viewing like this. Okay, so it refracts and goes in a different line, and you see that the depth is appearing to be different, or maybe the thing is it may be lying here, but it appears to be here. The reason is very simple. The reason is refraction, because the wave actually gets slightly disturbed and it goes away from this. So I have a very beautiful video in this direction. Okay, so just to reiterate again, the specular reflector, the condition is actually the structure, the thickness of the structure or the size of the structure should be way higher than the wavelength. Okay, that is one condition, and if that is satisfied, then you have specular reflection, and then theta I, the angle of incidence, is equal to the angle of reflection, and then the angle of transmission, it is different compared to angle of incidence, and it is given by the famous Snell's law. So we will not go into Snell's law details and all this, because we will not be working on this. Why? Because Snell's law is going to tell you about what happened after, what is going to the transmitted scenario, right? But we are more interested in the reflected scenario. So all we need to understand is, if in the case of specular reflector, we will not get the reflection back in the same direction, it will go in a certain other direction. So I have an example. Okay, so this is image is created by Gayatri, who is also attending the course. So and it is developed using a simulation software, K-Wave, which you will be hopefully using at a later point of time. So what we are going to show here is, this is a specular reflector, and we are going to excite or put a wave to the specular reflector in a certain angle. So you will see that. So the wave is coming like this, there's a plane wave which is striking on here, and you see the angle, it got completely diverted and it is going in this direction. And I have another example where the wave is actually in the opposite direction, it is coming like this, and then you see the reflection is going in this direction. So this is exactly what we mean by specular reflection. So if you are really careless, you when you take the sensor data, you expect that when I am sending it like this, the expected thing is like it is received in all the sensors equally, but that's not the case. As you can see over here, these sensors receive the maximum energy. These sensors are not at all receiving anything, any reflection back. So if you consider these sensors for reconstructing the image, you are bound to be fooled, right? So that's very important. And this is an example, this is a real life example. So this is a blood vessel, and people are going to actually insert needle, and this is an ultrasound image. So sound is actually propagating from top and it is going through the tissue, then it is seeing the blood vessel, it is going back, and let's see that what is happening. So there is a needle here getting inserted, so you can see over here, and you see over here the needle angle is this. If I put a straight line, the angle would have been the needle would have been in this position. Actually needle is in that position, but you perceive that there is a small change in the needle direction, and that is what actually because of refraction. So refraction is not just in the light, it is in the sound also. So very, very interesting concept. And then you see one more thing, interesting thing is like here, sorry, let me just run it again. So you see over here some portion of the needle is not visible. Even here also there is nothing visible here. That is because of this guy going in a certain direction, and then in that direction I may not be weighting it very high. So you may not be using, so you are using the entire sensor for image reconstruction, you are bound to get noise because this guy is going to get received here only. These sensors are receiving noise at that time, so you are bound to get something like this. So this is one important aspect that you should understand when you image a system. Okay, I hope it is not confusing you a lot. So let's move on, and this is something which I wanted to show you in the case of optics. So a lot of ultrasound example, but you should see this also. So this is something very, very interesting. So you put a sort of a glass here, so outside is all air, and then what is going to do is going to actually put a light source, a sort of a pointed light source. Okay, so there will be a lens here which is focusing like this. So you can see this is normal incidence, and as we saw the angle, there is no refraction. Some portion is reflected back which you are not seeing because that is already aligned with that, and the remaining is passing through. There is no problem. Now let's see when he rotates it certain angles, what is going to happen. Okay, this is perfect, normal incidence, and now he is going to change it. Yeah, you see, so 10 degree, you can see over here this is incident, so this is the angle is actually 10 degree incidence, so that is actually going, so that you can see refraction is happening, small amount of refraction is happening, and you see the reflection. So this is a very mild reflection which is happening here. You can see over here this angle is equal to this angle. Previously Snell's law we defined, right? You should go back and see. Now let's see, it's very interesting. So as I change, you can see more and more refraction is happening, and the reflection also is increasing. So you can see the reflection intensity is increasing, the bending, the refraction is again happening a lot. You can see it is increasing, and at some point of time this guy will disappear and you will get, you see reflection is increasing, very good, very beautiful. So you can even see the wave getting splitted. So this, let me put this way, this is something which is actually happens when we view a mirror. Everything is going outside, and let's say this is we standing here, we are not seeing that, it is going out of our view. And this is something which optics people call as total internal reflection. That means everything is reflected back. And you see here the medium is same, there is no difference, acoustic impedance is same, but this is the property of the angle of incidence. So that's it. So this is something known as specular reflection or total internal reflection, and because of this refraction is possible, but that depends on the angle of incidence. Now you will see it going back. So you can see. So let me go a bit faster. You can always go to this website and view it as many times as you want. Okay, so that's it. So we explained about that, and now we already talked about the specular reflection. Now let's talk about something known as diffuse reflection or the scattering, which we saw in the first slide when I talked about all these. So in this case, it's as simple as that. The size of the structure is way smaller than the wavelength. It's just the opposite of the specular. So in that case, what happens is the wave just scatters everything. So it just scatters through. Examples are soft interfaces like tissue, red blood cells, etc. And you can see that there is no change in the line of path or no change in the wave direction. That means there is no refraction happening, and you will get scattering. So in this case, what as an imaging engineer, what your advantage is like, all sensors will receive, all sensors which are placed, let's say here, will receive information equally. There is no bias, unlike the specular reflector, which we discussed in the previous slide. So this is the reason. I can tell you an example of soft interface here also. So you see, you see lot of dots you're seeing over here, right? Lots of, you see all these. So they are because of this diffuse scattering. Okay, so that's the reason why diffuse scattering happens. And then just to reiterate with an example, so we have a diffuse scatterer here whose wavelength is way small than the incident wave. So what is going to happen? The same inclined angle. So you see over here, this is universally scattered. You see a spherical evolution from that. So that's the beauty about it. Again here, this direction. It doesn't matter which direction you excite it, you get equally spread. I hope you appreciate it now. If it is a specular reflector, you have a directivity associated with it, and you will have a refraction effect. You have to be very careful. If it is a non-specular diffuse scatterer or diffuse reflection, you will get scattering throughout, and then that's good for imaging because you get information from everywhere. All sensors will have information. So you don't have to be really careful. So that is really interesting. So most of our human body is actually like this, but something like bone or needle, let's say you insert needle for some injection or some catheter operation, then you have to be careful. So I hope I conveyed the message very clearly. Okay. And now the last part of it, with this we will come to the end of this week. So we discussed already, there is a lot of absorption happening because of the thermal dissipation, right? And we also discussed that it is dependent on the frequency. So this part we already discussed. I just wanted to show you an example. So if I transmit, if my sound wave is at a certain frequency, let's say fundamental frequency, and then if I transmit to the same tissue at a higher frequency, almost twice as this frequency, that means the wavelength is getting almost half of the previous one. That means the motion of the particles even become, the smaller and smaller particles get affected. That means more and more attenuation or absorption is going to happen, and this is the result. So this is a musculoskeletal image. You're seeing, what you're seeing over here is a shoulder. Okay, so this is one part of the shoulder bone, the other part of the shoulder bone, and the intermediate bone here. And you can see over here you have lot of image knowledge at depth. Compared to here, it's completely gone. This is twice the high frequency, so twice attenuation. So you don't even see anything here. Of course, you can see the resolution is better here compared to this. That is because your wavelength is smaller. Higher the frequency, smaller the wavelength, you will have better resolution. We will come to that. Resolution aspects and all those things we never discussed so far. So let's ignore that. But the acoustic impedance, acoustic absorption, the attenuation is very less here compared to here. You are not seeing anything here, but you are seeing everything here. So this is because this is twice higher frequency than this. That means you are bound to get more and more thermal loss and more attenuation. So that's it. Just to summarize, in this entire week what we discussed is going beyond the wave towards the medium. So we started off with wave interference. We discussed about constructive, destructive interference and how even something like standing wave is created. And then we discussed about intensity which is getting reduced with expansion of the wave, and that is going to help us to avoid these effects of constructive and destructive interference to an extent. Then we sort of move to the definition of speed of sound, the dependence of that on the material, the compressibility and the density. Then we define the term characteristic impedance, which is universally true. It is the impedance offered to the wave propagation. And then we moved ahead and discussed about the medium, right? Whenever there is a change in medium, there is a change in acoustic impedance or characteristic impedance, you are getting reflection back. But then we also discussed that it is not just simple reflection. It can be a scattering, which is what we call as diffuse reflection. As the name suggests, it just diffuses. It's all throughout. But then we are going to have specular reflection. How this is going to happen? It all depends on the size of the structure, size of the material compared to the wavelength of your excitation or the transducer, what wavelength you are exciting in. And then of course there is this absorption, which we can't prevent, but that is dependent on frequency. So maybe one way to solve that problem is go to a lower frequency. And then of course transmission, right? Remaining whatever is out of this scattering and specular reflection and absorption, whatever is remaining is what is actually transferred. So with that, I think sort of covered the entire aspect on waves and their importance and the medium and all these things, which is really outside of the course. But I hope you understand, appreciate the importance of knowledge of all this, right? And with that, this week is over. And we will, if you have any questions related to this, we will discuss it during the live session next week. Okay, thank you.